Donal Wilford Townley was known by many names. To some, he was Donal. To others, he was simply Don. He was husband to Anita, Dad, Grandpa T, Uncle Don, Mayor Townley, and friend. But regardless of what people called him, those who knew him best remembered a kind and humble man who loved his family deeply and was loved in return.
What's your Christmas wish?
My Christmas wish is that everybody will continue to have a love one for another.
Yay! That's a good one. Thank you.
Game. Ready. Game. Game. Who's there?
Just 4 days before Christmas, and little more than a week after this family gathering, Donal Townley passed away. His final recorded Christmas wish was simple: that everyone would continue to have love one for another. Those words reflected the way he lived his life. Donal Wilford Townley lived a life of service. He served 4 years in the United States Army during World War II, rising to the rank of Personnel Sergeant Major. After he was honorably discharged, he spent 27 years in government service, rising from auditor to chief accounting and finance officer, before being selected to help develop new budgeting and management systems for the Air Force, all while raising 4 children with his wife Anita. In 1978, Don Townley achieved something few would have predicted. A political newcomer, he defeated the incumbent mayor and was elected mayor of Clearfield City. Sometime after Don became mayor, a woman who had known him since high school made a remark to his wife Anita that seemed to summarize his life's journey. She said she was glad to live in a country where a boy who once went to school without shoes could grow up to become mayor. It was a simple remark, but behind it was a story stretching back generations. So who was that little boy without shoes? To answer that question, we have to go back long before Don was born. Back to Texas. Back to his grandfather, Daniel Johnson Townley. According to family recollections, Daniel Johnson Townley once pursued political office in Texas. But the story remembered by his descendants was not about politics. It was about a family decision whose effects would be felt for generations. One of those consequences fell upon Daniel's son, Robert Harvey Townley.
My grandpa was running for the state senate in Texas, and my grandmother on his side, my dad's side, smoked a corncob pipe, and he didn't think that was very conducive to his running for political office. So he kicked her out. They just told her to get out and leave. And my dad couldn't stand to have his mother shoved out of the house without anything, so he left school and started stoking coal on railroads. So my dad never wound up with an education. So he took care of his mother as best he could.
And so Robert's formal education ended early, and many of the opportunities that come with schooling were largely beyond his reach. Over the years, Robert followed work wherever he could find it, moving from mining to farming and other forms of hard labor. It was not an easy life. In 1913, while living in Idaho, Robert married 17-year-old Rose Zello Wilson. Together, they began building a life uncertain of the challenges that lay ahead. By 1921, Robert and Rose had already experienced both the joys and sorrows of family life. They were raising two daughters, Mildred and Blenda, and had mourned the loss of an infant son, Paul. Into that world, another son was born. His name was Donal Wilford Townley. He was born on January 9th, 1921, in Burley, Idaho. Burley was a young agricultural community on Idaho's Snake River Plain. Founded only 16 years before Don's birth. Built around irrigation, railroads, and farming, it was home to only a few thousand residents in the 1920s. The opening of the Burley sugar beet factory in 1912 made sugar beets one of the area's most important crops, while potatoes, alfalfa, cattle, and dairy farming helped sustain the local economy. Children grew up seeing horse-drawn equipment in the fields and trains carrying crops to market. Dusty roads connected a community centered around churches, schools, and farming. In a town where nearly everyone was connected in some way to the land, hard work was simply a part of everyday life.
I'm going to start out with my parents. They were both so happy with my arrival because my older brother had died several years before my brother Paul when he was 18 months old.
In the late 1990s, surrounded by family, Don began sharing recollections of his rich and storied life, starting with his earliest childhood memories in Burley, Idaho.
And the first time I really remember anything was when my dad put me on his lap. He was driving a Model T Ford and had a ditch going into where the church was. He was second counselor in the bishopric. And I was there and hit this ditch. and the steering wheel came up, and I went down, punched me in the nose. I got a bloody nose, and so I remember crying, because it didn't feel very good. But the next thing I remember is some things that happened over at home. I remember we had a little milk house. It was a small, made out of rock in the backyard. It seemed like it was pretty good size when I was a youngster, but when I went back to look at it a few years ago, it was only about 6 feet wide and maybe 8 feet deep. Rock on the outside, and that was where we put the milk to keep it cool. And we had a cow. Dad milked the cow. I also had some horses there someplace. He put me on a horse, scared the daylights out of me. He said, "Boy, I thought I was up on the moon, you know," looking down. And then he put me on a calf, and everybody's laughing because, boy, I wasn't laughing. I was under stress. And then I remember we had to bathe. A tub was about that size. We'd bring water and fill the water up, warm water, and bathe, and have to empty that and then bring in some water that you could rinse with. And we didn't have inside plumbing. We had a little outhouse. Outhouse is sort of a little thing that you see that had a crescent moon on it. What they did is they dug a big hole, drilled a couple of holes in the seat that would go across, so you'd sit on this seat instead of a nice, comfortable toilet seat that you have now.
It had 2 holes on it, 2 seats?
2 holes, usually 2 holes, they'd make them with 2. So if you had brothers or sisters or something, or the urgency, and there was nothing in place, it was either out in the field or under cover. The games we played was ante-I-over. I remember we played ante-I-over. We'd throw a ball over the house this way, 1 or 2 of us on one side and 1 or 2 on the other side. And the idea was to catch it on the other side. So you said, ante-I-over, and throw the ball over the house, and somebody would catch it or else they'd miss it. And then they'd throw it back, and so then you'd go like this. Well, this one time, there was nobody on the other side, and I thought, well, since I don't have anybody to play, I'll just throw this hammer. I had a hammer.
Oh no!
So I threw the hammer over, but Dad had misplaced the Model T Ford, and there was a windshield on it. And it smashed the windshield. And that didn't make my dad very happy when he saw that.